It was 50 years ago, 1969, that Magnepan was founded by Jim Winey, maker of extraordinary planar magnetic speakers. But 69, if you think about it, 69. What else happened in 1969? Landing on the moon? Oh, and Woodstock. I mean, a lot more, but those three things, it's kind of an amazing coincidence that landing on the moon, Woodstock, and Magnepan all happened, I think, basically in the summer of 69. But this is really a celebration of Magnepan. I came to Magnepan late. In 2008, I reviewed the 1.6 QR, and it was, talk about a game changer. It was a huge, huge game changer for me, and I've since been a more or less continuous fan of Magnepans, up to my recent rave review of the LRS, which is a $650 full range ribbon speaker, made in the USA, made in White Bear Lake, where all Magnepans have been made since 1969. Well, since 1971, when they started actually making speakers. But it's an incredible company. Jim Winey was a former 3M engineer, and he basically took a piece of Mylar, attached some basically metallic ribbon, aluminum ribbons to it, and I have a picture that I'm showing right now, and the first Magnepan was born. I was at the factory and I saw that, and it really was like, wow, this is where it all happened. That's pretty cool. I watched them make speakers there, and making a Magnepan is a lot of hand work, actually. There's very little that's done by machines. And watching these skilled technicians building the Magnepans was really extraordinary. But, you know, the first Magnepan that blew everybody away, and long before I was thinking about the timpani, the original Magnepan timpani, which kind of looked like, I'm going to show it right now, sort of a room divider, a 3-panel speaker. And it went on through many iterations. But the basic idea remained the same, to have this boxless speaker that wasn't an electrostatic speaker. An electrostatic speaker is a fundamentally different thing. An electrostatic speaker is charged stator with a diaphragm between them that you plug into the wall to charge the stators. There are no magnets involved in an electrostatic speaker. A planar magnetic speaker doesn't get plugged into the wall. It is just a thin diaphragm with magnets behind it and some kind of voice coil or ribbon attached to that diaphragm. No plugging into the wall. So electrostatics plug into the wall, Magnepans don't. So people confuse them. I'm not sure why. But they're both panel speakers. That's what they have in common. So the timpani is chugging along, and it's big, and it won't fit in a lot of rooms. So in 1980 or 82, I can't get the date exactly straight, but the SMG was born, the small Magnepan, and it was inexpensive and sold by the boatloads or truckloads, and made it easier for people to fit Magnepans in rooms. Jim Winey just kept coming up with ideas. He did this in the late 70s, a unipivot tone arm, the Unitrack, sold for $325. He sold 10,000 of them, which is a huge number by audiophile standards. But I guess it was a dead end, because there wasn't another Magnepan tone arm or turntable or anything else, just that one-shot thing. But it had an impact, apparently. It sold 10,000 of them. But then came a lot of things, but the ribbon transitioning from planar magnetic, where it's basically that Mylar diaphragm with wires attached to it, to a Mylar diaphragm where a thin, very, very thin, I was amazed when I was at the factory how thin the ribbon is. It's so thin that when they drop a piece of it in your hand, you can't even, with your eyes closed, and they drop it in your hand, you can't even tell that anything hit your hand. It's that light and really hard to work with. They said, hey Steve, why don't you try applying this to the diaphragm? I was like, I'm a total ham-fisted, that wasn't going to happen. But I watched technicians do it, and it was pretty extraordinary. So then they have full range ribbon speakers like the LRS and the 1.7, but there are the higher end Magnepans like the 3 series, the 3.6, the 3.7, the 20, and now the 30 have true ribbon tweeters. True ribbon tweeters. And those tweeters are just an aluminum ribbon and no substrate to it. So you could blow on it and it just moves, and there are magnets around it. And that ribbon, and even the ribbons that are quasi-ribbon, they're not like a ribbon tweeter that you see on many, many, many speakers where it's 2 inches tall. The ribbon in a 3.6 or 3.7 is 4 feet tall. It's very skinny, maybe like a half an inch wide, but it's 4 feet tall. And that's a whole different way to produce high frequencies with a true ribbon as Magnepan defines it. Meanwhile, I'm saying, in contrast to the way most ribbons are heard in speakers, where it's according to Magnepan speak, a quasi-ribbon where the ribbon metal part, the aluminum metal part, is adhered to some substrate like mylar or something else. So it's therefore heavier and not as quick. But this is really a celebration of Magnepan's 50th. That's quite an achievement, and without ever veering off course of making them in other countries to save money or making super duper models. You know, that's one of the things that always struck me about Magnepan, in contrast to other audiophile companies, is they resisted the temptation to make like a reference version, you know, the ultimate, like there's the 3.6 and then there's the 3.6 reference, or the 3.6 signature version where it has better capacitors and silver wire and a stiffer frame. They never did that. They just said, here is the model we're making now, and enjoy. If you want to change the crossover, be my guest. But the basic thing is what we had conceived, and there's no real need to upgrade it. If you want to, knock yourself out. So, you know, one of their cool little side projects was this planar magnetic woofer, the DWM, which is a tiny, you know, like not very big woofer, and it's used with the MMG, or presumably now the LRS, and integrating it, not the simplest thing in the world, but when it's all clicking, it's pretty damn impressive. The new 30.7, their flagship, is a very ambitious speaker. The previous flagship, the 20.7, has been around in various forms for a while. But then there's Jim Winey is the founder of the company, the original engineer. His son, Mark Winey, is running it now. But then there's the other guy at Magnepan, and his name is Wendell Diller. And Wendell is the marketing director and has been there since, I think, 74 or so. He's put in some time, and the guy's passion and drive is irrepressible. I talked to Magnepan, and Wendell. They kind of blend to be the same thing. I talk to Wendell from time to time, and our conversations are far-ranging about audio, about speakers, about everything. And it's incredible. I always have an amazing time talking to Wendell. So thanks, Wendell, for being there and staying driven, passionate. You haven't lost a thing. You know, I could go on, but you can tell I am truly excited, and I want to wish everyone at Magnepan great success to another 50 years of making incredible speakers in White Bear Lake, Minnesota. If you guys out there, you Magnepan owners out there, are unaware that it's 50 years, please, I just want to say, join the anniversary wishes. Chime in below in the comments section. If you are Magnepan curious, you can direct order some of them from the company, like the LRS, which is in back order situation right now because it's such an incredible speaker for $650 a pair. But eventually, I'm sure the supplies will open up. But you can dip your toe into Magnepan tech for not a lot of money. And I think I've said my piece. My name is still Steve Guttenberg, and this is the Audiophiliac Daily Show. And it comes up 5, 6, 7 times a week. Check back often. Subscribe, and when you subscribe, hit that little notification bell so you'll be aware of there's a new episode waiting for you. And if you've gotten this far in the video, you might want to check out my Patreon, which can be found at patreon.com/audiophiliac